Thank you for joining us for another episode of Ukraine, An Unwanted War, presented by ProPix Canada Media Limited with the support of Carry Movers. In this episode, we will be breaking it up into several parts. And again, this is just because of the length requirements or restrictions for certain media sites such as TikTok and so forth. As people were fleeing the country of Ukraine or within the country, leaving their homes, their home cities, it's been something that hasn't been seen in Europe since World War II. Over 8 million people by June of 2022 had left their hometowns and migrated to other parts of the country. Meanwhile, as we reach a year later from the start of the war, we now see approximately 8 million people have actually left the country of Ukraine. The majority of those leaving and going to other parts of Europe. There are other places such as the United States, Australia, and many other places that have accepted and opened the doors to Ukraine refugees. But let's first take a look at the initial response and interactions that the refugees are going to encounter as they exit the country. For this video, we are looking at original content that we captured in Poland, and this is where a large majority of the Ukrainian refugees have departed through the borders from Ukraine to Poland. But of course, all countries surrounding Ukraine are feeling the crunch of the refugees fleeing from Ukraine as a result of Russia's war. The other part of what happens at the border here is that other nations and aid agencies who are delivering goods to the Ukrainians can only get it as far as the Ukraine-Poland border, where it will be transferred to other vehicles and transported within Ukraine by Ukrainian either military aid organizations and so forth that are inside of the country. Here we met up en route to the border with a bus company out of Sweden who was delivering medical supplies and other emergency need. So here's what they had to say. So first I'll get you to say your full name and spell it.
My name is Mergim, Mergim. I'm a bus driver. We are going to Ukraine, or the border of Ukraine, to get a lot of children and women who are the victim of this war. So, and we have a lot of supplies to drive there to give them what they need.
Right, and I heard that you got medical supplies and such on board?
Medical supplies as well.
Right, excellent. And then where do you take them when you pick them up?
You mean the refugees? Or?
Yeah, where do you...
We are going to the border tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And picking on them there and on the way, on Warsaw maybe,
right.
So we can get a full bus.
Right, and then where do you go after the border?
We go, after the border, we go to Sweden.
Excellent.
Yep.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys very much for what you're doing, and I'll see you down at the border.
Yes. Bye-bye. So
even in the middle of the night, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, refugees are still making it across. Some have traveled for days in temperatures hitting -8, -9 degrees Celsius as they travel with children, with the elderly, some even bringing their pets. And it's quite the challenge. Once they do get to the border, they're lined up on the Ukraine side waiting to be processed and allowed into Poland. That again can take up to a day or two just to get through the border itself once they get there. On each side there are warming stations, there is food, there are hot beverages. It's far from luxury, but at least it is something as they wait in the cold temperatures night and day to get across. As they do get to the welcoming centers on the Poland side of the border, here you can see that there are plenty of tents set up with all kinds of food. They have fires there. They also have other tents and such that are warmed. to allow them to get a bit of a break after such a long travel, but they also can get some clothing, blankets, food, and medicines, diapers, for baby formula, so many different things from so many amazing volunteers and agencies from around the world who are participating in assisting the people here in Ukraine. This particular booth here didn't have any lighting. It was very dark, so we actually contributed some of our lighting that we had taken for production over to Ukraine. We actually gave it to the volunteers who were running that station so they could have light and people could find things in the dark. So that definitely just something that we hadn't considered going over there. And I'm sure many others wouldn't even think about, is just, you know, the smallest things like LED lighting to help light up things at nighttime. Some people are arriving at the borders with medical conditions or in medical distress, and there are doctors, nurses, and paramedics standing by. As people are crossing the border and arriving in various locations throughout throughout Poland, you can see that billboard that was just on the screen. Now you can see people lining up at the Bank of Poland, and this is another issue for not only the refugees but locals alike, that as they have left Ukraine and banking institutions and all of that have been closed, people are lining up here in Poland to be able to get to their accounts and withdraw money and currency once they've arrived in Poland, which puts a shortage on. With the ATMs throughout the country, there is a big rush on those as well. So they get refilled in the mornings, and typically by noon all of the ATMs around the country are empty as well. So they just can't keep up with the demand on currency there in Poland. The other concern that people have is, as the war drags on, the economy and their dollar may fall, or depending on the outcome could be worth almost nothing. So they want to get the money out as soon as possible to be able to have that currency on hand. Of course, as you can see, this family here, like almost everyone else, had to flee their homes and their communities with just whatever they could carry and get across the border. You can see the couple of gentlemen walking towards the border away from the camera there. They are a part of the Polish military and police force. They are just amazing. People who are in wheelchairs or elderly needing help with their bags that they carried all that distance to the border, they assist them. They bring wheelchairs over, wheel them over to the doctors and medical staff to get checked. As I said, they carry luggage for the elderly and help with the animals and the kids and that. So the whole working machine of the military, the police, the fire department, all of the international volunteers have come together to make it just flow very well as best as they can. Here you can see another bank machine in Poland that is out of cash, out of currency. So again, they just can't keep up with it. So that'll wrap up part 1 of episode 2. Please join us for more, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you can be informed when the next episode comes out. There are plenty of aid organizations online if you want to assist the people in Ukraine or other refugees around the world. Check the United Nations, the World Central Kitchen, the International Red Cross, United Sikhs, the Ukrainian Council, and so many others. And in closing of this part, I'd like to also send a big shout out and appreciation to people around the world helping Ukraine.